Hi everybody, it's Jordy from Jordy's Cards here for Heffy Doodle today, and I'm really excited to be bringing you a fun shaker card. I actually took a design that I had made previously and reinvented it slightly, so I really liked the card and I wanted to make it again. So today I'm using the Jump for Joy Giant Sentiments dies, the Heffy Doodle Build a Pond dies, the Be Hoppy Stamps and Coordinating dies, and the Ripple Waves stencil. I use the stencil a lot. It's such a good one. So what I have done off camera is gone ahead and prepped everything. So I've used that stencil on a bit of Bristol Smooth cardstock with some Salty Ocean Distress Oxide ink. Had something on there and I couldn't get it off. And then I just splattered a little bit of water on it to give it a textured look. I also cut a piece of acetate at 5.5 by 4 1/4. This is the Heffy Doodle Extra Thick Acetate. I have a piece of Kiwi Crush cardstock that I used that large Build-A-Pond die to cut a piece from, and it measures 5.5 by 4 1/4, obviously with the pond piece cut out. And then I used that same die to cut a piece of Simply Teal-icious cardstock, which I just took the frame for. I have die cut the sentiment, the Jump for Joy Giant Sentiment, and coloured it with some Copic markers. And then I have coloured and cut out all of my little bits and pieces from my Be Hoppy Stamp Set there, and used my Copic markers to cut everything. I then have a standard sized white card base at 5.5 by 4 1/4. I've made this kind of landscape style. And then I just stamped a little sentiment on the inside along with one of the little frogs there, just to kind of add a little bit of interest to the inside of my card. So I was having a little trouble getting my glue going, but once it's going, I add some glue to the back of that inked panel, and I'm going to glue that down to my card base there, and then I'm just going to set that off to dry while I work on the other bits and pieces for my card. So I pulled out my piece of acetate and my green Kiwi Crush cardstock piece that I had cut that pond bit from, and I'm just adding some glue again to that and going all the way around the edges, and I'm going to glue that down to the acetate. This is going to create my shaker window. So it's a bit messy with the liquid glue, but I like it because it's nice and strong and it holds everything down really well. Not too worried about those bits of glue seeping out, because now I'm going to attach that frame which I cut from the Simply Teal-icious cardstock, trying to get it lined up, and initially I didn't have it quite in the right place, so I had to move it around slightly, and there we go, it's all done. So once I had that done, I wanted to figure out where all my other little pieces were going to go. So here is my sentiment. I love the sentiment with the stamp set. I think it's just so cute, and I love colouring it in the same colour that I do my frogs in. I just think it looks really, really fun. I did add a bit of white gel pen there to add some details to it. So I was trying to figure out which way it would work best, and I decided to turn my pond around and thought my sentiment would fit in better there. Now, in hindsight, perhaps I should have stuck my little cattails down before I stuck my frame in there, because I wanted to tuck my cattails and things in behind that frame, but it worked okay. I managed to stick them in where I wanted them, and then I'm adding some liquid glue to my sentiment, and I'm going to pop that down before sticking everything else down on top. So I just tried to figure out where my cattails were going to go, because I knew they might kind of cover parts of my sentiment, and I wanted to make sure my sentiment was kind of tucked in behind the cattails so that they could pop on top. Once that was done, I'm not going to remove my cattails. I'm just going to add some glue in behind them while I've got them kind of stuck in behind the frame, because I didn't want to pull anything out and kind of rip anything once my glue had dried. So just doing that with all three of my little cattail pieces there. There are some in the Build-A-Pond die set, there are some cattails and things, vines, all sorts of things that you can die cut and colour. I just decided to use the things from the stamp set because I knew that my sentiment was going to take up quite a bit of the room. So then I pulled out my frogs and my little fly there that I had coloured and cut out. My little log here, I'm going to have one of my frogs sitting on that log. Always reminds me of that song. Don't know if you know it, 5 Little Speckled Frogs. Yeah, I keep singing that as I'm making this card. So I tried to figure out where all of those little pieces were going to go. I did tuck my log in there again behind the frame, and I'm going to have my little frog sitting on top. Decided to put my jumping frog up there into the top right hand corner, and then I was trying to figure out where this guy with the lily pad was going to go. Decided to have him sitting outside of the pond, and then my little fly could go in the middle there. So it's quite a busy little card, but it's lots of fun. It's lots of green, so everything kind of ties in quite nicely together. So I'm going to go ahead and attach everything down with the liquid glue into the spots I want them to sit. And once I'm happy with that, it is time to make the well for my shaker pieces. I always love making a shaker. If you've watched any of my videos in the past, you'll know that I make shakers quite regularly. I just find them lots of fun. It's kind of a really nice wow factor to the recipient of your card. And yeah, it's fun to shake them around. So I added some Heffy Doodle foam tape all the way around the edge of my card there, and I'm going to pull out my powder tool here and just go around the edge of that foam tape to kind of get rid of any excess stickiness so that my shaker pieces can move around. I'm going to do the same to that ink blended panel. I do find, especially with the Distress Oxides, that the sequins tend to stick a little bit to the Distress Oxide, so a bit of powder helps it move around a bit. Now I've got the gorgeous Enchanted Moss Sparkle mix here, and I'm shaking a few bits and pieces onto my panel, and then I'll go ahead and remove the foam tape and stick my front panel down onto my back panel, and that will be my card all finished and ready to go. I had so much fun making this one. Of course, I had to give it a bit of a shake around to make sure everything was moving nicely, which it was. And I just love the colourful vibrancy of all this green and the blue and those gorgeous shaker pieces in the middle that are sparkling nicely. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to our Heffy Doodle channel and feel free to check out these other videos. Thanks for joining me.